there, Stevos. Welcome back to Steve's TV wrap-up. In this episode, I am going to be discussing my thoughts on the last and third and final 60th anniversary episode of Doctor Who, starring David Tennant as the 14th Doctor, Catherine Tate as the companion Donna Noble, which was titled The Giggle. And also as well, I should point out that this episode did also star Neil Patrick Harris as the villainous toy maker as well, who was last seen in a First Doctor adventure all the way back in the year 1966. But he came back for this episode. Now, I did say that I was going to meet up with Damon this past weekend and watch this episode with him, but sadly he has been very, very busy this weekend, and I haven't been able to meet up with him. But what I will do though is I will get his thoughts on on both Wild Blue Yonder and The Giggle as well. At some point when I do next meet up with him. So hopefully when I do my 12 days of Vlogmas videos, or maybe just after Vlogmas, I'll get his thoughts on those episodes of Doctor Who. And who knows as well, I might even get his thoughts as well on the Christmas special, if I do kind of meet up with him and have a chat with him about Doctor Who in the vlogs. I'll get his thoughts on the Christmas special as well. I'm going to dive into the Christmas special very, very shortly in this video, because there is so much to unpack from this specific episode. And I am going to go into spoilers. I do feel like, you know, I've given it enough time where, you know, we're sort of nearly at the 48-hour mark where people have had enough time to watch this episode of Doctor Who, especially if you're a fan of the show. So I'm going to dive into this. So The Giggle, obviously, we have Neil Patrick Harris as the toy maker, like I said at the beginning of the video, last seen in 1966 with the First Doctor. The First Doctor played the toy maker's games and managed to win, thus defeating the toy maker. And even back then in that story in 1966, the toy maker said that he will come back one day, he will return. So I do feel like, you know, obviously we haven't seen the toy maker since then, and I think it was a great idea for the showrunner Russell T Davies to bring him back into the show, and to be played by somebody as big as Neil Patrick Harris as well. I mean, he is a really big actor. He has been in various different TV shows, especially in America, and in a couple of movies here and there as well. So to bring someone as big as Neil Patrick Harris in is amazing. It's really funny actually, because Neil Patrick Harris did actually say recently that before he joined the cast of Doctor Who to play the toy maker, he didn't actually know what Doctor Who was. So given the fact the show's been around for 60 years, it's part of, I guess you could say it's part of British culture, you know. I'm very surprised that he does not know, he had no idea as to what Doctor Who was prior to joining the cast of the show to play the toy maker. But there we go. But sadly, this was the 14th Doctor's last adventure in the TARDIS. Or was it? Was it, though? Because, I'll tell you why now. Prior to this episode airing, Russell T Davies did say that there was going to be some controversial mythology in regards to Doctor Who. Something that fans have never known about, ever, in the history of Doctor Who. And in this episode, obviously, we see that Ncuti Gatwa is now the 15th Doctor. He's taken over from David Tennant's 14th Doctor. However, instead of the usual regeneration where the Doctor changes his face and all of that, his personality, instead he bi-generated, which is technically a Time Lord myth. Now, there's a couple of things that we need to discuss here about this. So, in the last episode of Wild Blue Yonder, the Doctor and the Donna were on the edge of the universe, and the Doctor basically grabbed some salt and sprinkled this salt all over the floor. Now, when the salt got wiped away from the floor to stop the villains from that episode from crossing their path, when the salt wiped away from there, it basically opened up all the mythologies and all of that was made possible, you know, or that was out there, shall we say, and it brought it into our universe, shall we say, and now any mythology now is possible in the Whoniverse. Not in our universe, in the Whoniverse. So, you know, I think from that moment there, I think that there's a lot of repercussions from there, and I'm not going to rule out in the future that there's going to be a lot more mythologies and stuff which are going to be in the Whoniverse that are going to be deemed controversial and that will happen, you know. And to be honest, when those mythology moments happen, you've then got to go back and rewatch The Wild Blue Yonder to understand, oh yeah, that's the reason why this is all happening, because of this particular episode. So obviously the whole by generation kind of thing was a mythology kind of thing for Time Lords, but now that the myth has basically come into the Whoniverse now, thanks to the the line of salt being destroyed in Wild Blue Yonder, it now means that that mythology is possible. And basically what we see is we start to see David Tennant's Doctor regenerate, but he then stops regenerating and asks Donna and his other former companion, Mel, played by Bonnie Langsford, to pull his arms. So they do, and then we see Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor, the 15th Doctor, just come out of the side of David Tennant's 14th Doctor. So now there is something else that I should point out here as well about bi-generation, and Russell T Davies has said this in the InVision commentary for the episode that's available through BBC iPlayer. By the way, I definitely do recommend checking out the InVision commentary, because despite the fact that you're watching the episode the same time the showrunner David Tennant and some of the crew members are watching it, but at the same time, obviously, you're not hearing the episode as such, you're just watching it, like, it's kind of there in the background while they're commentating on the episode, and they're giving away some behind-the-scenes secrets, so I definitely do recommend you guys check out the InVision commentary for those episodes. They are on BBC iPlayer here in the UK. I'm not too sure if they're made available around the world or anything like that, or it might just be an exclusive on BBC iPlayer, but definitely do check those out. But Russell T Davies did say, though, that now that the Doctor has bi-generated from the 14th to the 15th Doctor, it does mean that all the other Doctors from the past, going from the first to the 14th Doctor, have also bi-generated. So in that moment when the Doctors from the past have regenerated, instead of regenerating, they have bi-generated. So, for example, you know, Matt Smith's 11th Doctor is still out there, time travelling through time and space. Peter Capaldi's 12th Doctor is still out there, time travelling through space. William Hartnell's 1st Doctor is out there, travelling through space and time. So is Patrick Troughton's Doctor, and John Pertwee's Doctor, and Tom Baker's Doctor, and Peter Davison's Doctor, and Colin Baker's Doctor, you know, all those Doctors that we've known and loved in the past. Even Paul McGann's Doctor is still out there, travelling the Whoniverse, shall we say, saving the world, saving galaxies and all of that. So, now, that does basically mean, now, Russell T Davies did say that basically this has opened up the Doctorverse, which basically means that at any point in any episode, in any series of Doctor Who going forward, it does kind of open up the realm to the possibility that we could see the current Doctor coming face to face with a past Doctor without going into their time stream, shall we say, like they have done in the past, because of other multi-Doctor storylines have featured the Doctor going into their own time streams to that era, shall we say, of their Doctors, and meeting themselves from their past that way. So now it's going to be one of those, oh look, there's the 12th Doctor, let me go and interact with him. And it's not going to be one of those, I'm in my own kind of time stream, you know, I'm not going to remember this because, you know, this, that. It's very timey-wimey stuff, but at the same time, it's really good. I think it's a really positive step, because obviously we've never really seen Paul McGann's Doctor too much. Obviously we did see him a little bit in the 50th anniversary episodes. Obviously we got that TV movie with him all the way back in 1996. But it kind of opens that door up for Paul McGann to return as the 8th Doctor and go on a couple of adventures with the 15th Doctor or the 16th Doctor in the future and stuff like that. So yeah, so I really loved that concept. A lot of people did find it a little bit controversial, the bi-generation kind of thing, but there's a lot of people on social media that are kind of welcoming it. I mean, I welcome it, and I'll tell you why in a second, but there are people on there that disagree with this factor, with this move that Russell T Davies has made. But he did say that this was going to be a very controversial move, and, you know, and it is controversial, I know, but some people love it, some people hate it, some people are in the middle. They don't know whether they like it or they hate it. They're having to go back and rewatch the episode a couple more times to see if they can warm to the idea of bi-generation. So, yeah, but to me, it worked. It worked. I mean, I'll tell you why now. So, obviously, the 14th Doctor is still out there. The 15th Doctor is in his TARDIS now, and he's going off and going on many more adventures, which we're going to see from Christmas and going into 2024 and 2025 and stuff like that. But the 14th Doctor still exists. Obviously, David Tennant's Doctor still exists. There's probably, I don't know if there's 3 versions of David Tennant's Doctor out there now, because obviously you've got the first time the 10th Doctor regenerated when the Doctor shot him in Series 4. Then obviously you've got the 10th Doctor when he regenerated at the end of the episode of The End of Time, when David Tennant originally left the show. And then obviously you've got this Doctor played by David Tennant, which is the 14th Doctor. So technically, is there like 3 or maybe even 4 versions of David Tennant's Doctor out there if we're counting the Meta Crisis Doctor? Who knows? So there might be 4 versions of David Tennant out there. So interesting theory. Who knows? Maybe one day there'll be an episode where it's just complete bonkers and we'll just get 4 versions of David Tennant's in one room. That'd be crazy. But what I will say is, the 14th Doctor, obviously, after bi-generating, in post-bi-generation, shall we say, the 15th Doctor comforted the 14th Doctor. And he said to him, look, you've been on so many adventures all your life, you know, to the point where you've never been able to stop and go, what the hell? You know, so he kind of gave the 14th Doctor a little bit of counselling, I guess, you know, and said to him, like, look at all the people you've lost, like Sarah Jane and Rose, and, you know, and obviously that Doctor now, I mean, the 14th Doctor is truly a broken man, I think, at that point, because the Doctor as a character, over the 60 years that we've known that character, he has gone through so much pain, so much heartbreak, so many regenerations as well. And now, you know, it's time for the Doctor from the past, shall we say, to retire and let a new Doctor take over. Now, obviously, Ncuti Gatwa is obviously the new Doctor. I don't know whether or not in the future, when Ncuti Gatwa leaves and another person takes over the role of the Doctor, I don't know whether or not it's going to be the same, whether that Doctor's going to bi-generate again and bring in the 16th Doctor and stuff. I don't know. But, I mean, it is a possibility. It is a possibility. But, again, even if that does happen, it'll be kind of a welcome with open arms kind of moment for me, because I did enjoy that bi-generation. And what I will say as well about Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor so far is we saw him in the last 20 minutes of the episode. And given the fact that, you know, when the Doctor bi-generated, he had... the 15th Doctor had the 14th Doctor's shirt on. He had the 14th Doctor's necktie just literally hanging round his neck, undone. And he was just in boxer shorts as well, which, you know, is quite bizarre, to be honest. You know, the fact that the 15th Doctor wasn't even wearing trousers whilst battling with the Toymaker. So, and I'm going to dive into that in a second, but, you know, I will be honest, though, so far from what I've seen from Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor, and he's had a very limited screen time in that last 20 minutes of the episode, because obviously we're still focusing on the 14th Doctor and his story at the moment, but the moments that we did see of Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor, I really, really loved it, because... straight away, from that opening moment, when we first saw him on screen, he brought charm, he brought charisma, and also as well, he brought a bit of, I don't know, like a bit of a comforting side to his Doctor, you know, like the way how he comforted David Tennant's 14th Doctor. He, like, opened his arms and said, "Come here, give me a hug," and he hugged him, he kissed him on the forehead, and told him that he's got him, he's okay, you know? And for me, I thought that is such a heartwarming thing to see the new Doctor do to one of his past selves, you know? And I loved it, and I think, you know, like, yeah, okay, there's probably going to be some really campy moments with this Doctor, because, you know, there's a little bit of camp dialogue in his character already. I mean, you know, I do feel like he's going to have a bit of sass to his Doctor as well. I do feel like it's going to be a bit of sass, because, like, even at the end when the 14th Doctor and Donna left the 15th Doctor to the TARDIS, you know, the 15th Doctor said to the 14th Doctor, "Okay, kid, I love you, but get out." You know, and I just feel like that was such a sassy thing for the Doctor to say, you know, and like obviously when both the 14th and the 15th Doctor defeated the Toymaker in their final battle, you know, obviously the 15th Doctor grabbed a mallet from the TARDIS and said, stand back, because I've got a prize," and the 14th Doctor said, "What for?" And so when Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor said, stand back, the 14th Doctor replied back going, "What for?" And he goes, "You get a prize, honey." And he literally mallets the TARDIS and duplicates the TARDIS, so that if the 14th Doctor ever wants to go on adventures, he's more than able to go on those adventures. So, but yeah, so I think that was a really nice thing as well for the 15th Doctor to do as well, is to duplicate the TARDIS and stuff like that. So I really loved this episode a lot. You know, there is so much heart in this, and there is also a scene where Neil Patrick Harris's Toymaker starts dancing to Spice Girls' "Spice Up Your Life" as well. It is such a very campy Doctor Who moment, but at the same time I couldn't help but laugh, because it is so unnerving as well. Like, literally, you watch, I mean, yeah, okay, you can't take the scene very, very seriously, because obviously it's just such a campy moment to happen, but there is moments in there which are very unnerving under all that campiness as well. So bear that in mind when you watch the episode or rewatch the episode, because there is some very unnerving moments. I am going to be honest here. Neil Patrick Harris as the toy maker, I would love to see him back again in the future. I would love to see him back again in the future, because I feel like he was such an unnerving and frightening, terrifying villain. You know, and honestly, I would love to see him come back again. I really, really would. I know he's been defeated in this episode and stuff, but if he came back again as the toy maker, maybe in a couple of years' time or something like that, I'd be down for it. I would be down for it. Now, there is something that I'm going to say here as well. Now, Beep the Meep in the Star Beast hinted that she was going to go to her boss after being imprisoned. Now, obviously, with the toy maker hinted at the one who waits, which I feel like is kind of I don't know whether it's a reference to Beep the Meep's boss, whether the toy maker was working alongside the same boss as Beep the Meep, but there is somebody out there that the Doctor should be very terrified about in the future series or next couple of series of Doctor Who. Russell T Davies is building up a story arc for the 15th Doctor. And to be honest with you, I love a story arc. I really do, especially when it's shrouded in mystery. You know, when it's shrouded in mystery, I absolutely love a story arc. And I think that's one thing that Russell T Davies has done over the years in Doctor Who, which I really have enjoyed, is him building up a story arc. You know, and then obviously he delivers. He ends up delivering on those story arcs. So I'm looking forward to seeing who the one who waits is. It'll probably get revealed, like I say, either in the next series of Doctor Who or in at least the series that's coming out in 2025. But I don't think Russell T Davies will make us wait that long for the big villain to be revealed. I think it'll be in the series finale of next year's episodes. But honestly though, he is building up a lot of things. There is also the other factor as well that, you know, the toy maker played the Master as well at one of his games after being defeated in the Power of the Doctor. The Master went to the toy maker. He played one of the toy maker's games and got defeated. He then became a gold tooth which sat on the inside of the toy maker's mouth. Now, when the toy maker got defeated, the gold tooth fell out of his mouth and ended up on the ground. Now, there is somebody similar to when the Master got defeated all the way back in Series 3, somebody picked up with red nail varnish, picked up his ring, so a part of the Master still lived at the end of Series 3 when he got defeated by the Doctor and the world, basically. But somebody, once again, with red nail varnish, picked up that gold tooth. We don't know who it was. So that's again opened up the possibility that the Master will return in the future. The really weird thing is I'm pretty certain I heard John Sims' version of the Master laugh when the gold tooth got picked up by the mysterious figure. So does that indicate that John Sim's going to return as the Master? Maybe Sacha Dhawan, John Sim and Michelle Gomez's Missy, all three of them may come back in the future. That I would love to see, especially with the whole bi-generation coming into play now as well. Maybe the Master bi-generated instead of regenerated. You know, there is so many things that are, like, so many questions that have just been opened now, you know, and there's so many answers to those questions that we need. So I'm definitely going to be, I mean, after watching the Doctor's performance in the last 20 minutes of Doctor Who from this special, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm looking forward to watching the episode on Christmas Day. I am going to do a TV wrap-up episode talking about the Christmas Day special. towards the end of 2023, so expect that towards the end of this month, especially when I'm going to talk about Ncuti Gatwa's performance in that episode, and Millie Gibson, as well as the new companion Ruby Sunday. She's going to be making her debut in this in the next episode as well. I must say, I'm really looking forward to the Christmas special. The Christmas special does look good. It does look like the Doctor's starting to heal himself. Like, you know, he's a bit more relaxed, you know, he's not taking life too seriously, he's just having a fun time. He's gone to a nightclub wearing a vest top and a kilt, and he's literally on the dance floor dancing away, you know, and he's celebrating Christmas, and yeah, and he's just so happy that he's going on adventures, you know, and I feel like that's going to be the Doctor. He's going to be really chilled out, relaxed. Isn't good, you know, yeah, there's going to be moments that he's going to be upset and maybe hurt in the future, but right now, he's going to be chilled, he's going to be relaxed, and he's going to try and find himself again, which, fair play to the character. All in all, though, really enjoyed this episode. I must say that this does open up for a future of spin-offs and stuff like that, which I'm open to. I'm open to seeing spin-offs. We could see a spin-off with David Tennant and Catherine Tate going on more adventures as the 14th Doctor, and Donna Noble as well. So that could be a possibility. But if not, then the way how Russell T Davies wrapped up David Tennant's Doctor altogether, I mean, I'm happy, because it kind of felt like he was wrapped up in a nice little bow tie, and his story is done. Really, you know, he's got a family, he's happy, and he's just content with his life, you know, that he's able to retire from time travelling. Every now and then he'll use his TARDIS and go in and go on little adventures here and there. We may see them in future spin-offs, who knows, or future episodes, who knows, but you know, for now, though, I'm glad that his story has been wrapped up in a nice little bow tie. Rose Noble, played by Heartstopper's Yasmin Finney, she is going to be coming back in future episodes of Doctor Who. Russell T Davies has confirmed that. The reason being is because he absolutely loves working with her. So Rose Noble is definitely going to be coming back to Doctor Who at some point. If not in the Christmas special, then definitely in the next series of Doctor Who, for sure. So if there are fans out there who loved Yasmin Finney's performance as Rose Noble, then you're in for a treat, because she will be back in hopefully the next series of Doctor Who. All in all, though, great episode. I give this a 10 out of 10. I really, really do give this episode a 10 out of 10. Because it was an amazing episode. It felt like, again, I said it last week, I'm going to say it again this week, it felt like an episode that came straight out of 2008 or 2009. You know, and I'm kind of glad that Russell T Davies has kind of listened to the fans and gone, you know what, I'm not going to put the fans through David Tennant regenerating again, because I don't want to pay for all the fans' therapy out there if they have to suffer through David Tennant regenerating again. So instead, we'll keep him as the Doctor, but we'll make the Doctor bi-generate, you know. So I loved that. I loved the concept. And again, that's another reason why I love that concept, is because it meant that David Tennant's Doctor could live, and it meant that that David Tennant's Doctor could retire and be happy and be with the Noble family. You know, honestly, it was such a good episode, and it also wrapped up why the Doctor regenerated back into an old face, and Donna summed it up perfectly. You know, there was a reason why that face came back. And the 14th Doctor said, what for? And she said, to come home. Which, you know, I thought was such a heartwarming kind of piece of dialogue in that episode, you know. Honestly, all in all, it was a fantastic episode. Really, really loved it a lot. I honestly do give it 10 out of 10. I'm going to happily rewatch this episode over and over again. There was little references to the 13th Doctor with the Flux. Clara Oswald's name was mentioned. Bill Potts was mentioned. Amy and Rory were mentioned in this episode as well. You know, and yeah, I mean, I just loved it. I really, really loved this episode a lot. So, but yeah, like I say though, you know, it was a shame that I wasn't able to watch this episode with Damon over the weekend. Like I say, he was busy over the weekend, so I couldn't meet up with him. However, like I said at the beginning of the video, I will get his thoughts on both Wild Blue Yonder and The Giggle when I do meet up with him. So expect to get his thoughts on those episodes either during 12 days of Vlogmas, if I meet up with him during that period, or just after Vlogmas has finished, going into the new year, I'll get his thoughts on that. And if I don't get his thoughts on those episodes before Christmas, I'll get them after Christmas, and I'll also get his thoughts on the Christmas special as well. We might even just do a separate video explaining his thoughts on all three Doctor Who specials. So there we go. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's a long one. It's been half an hour, but there's been a lot for me to unpack from this video, from this episode particularly. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts on the Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials now that they're all done and dusted? Did you enjoy David Tennant's performance as the 14th Doctor? What did you think of Ncuti Gatwa's 15th Doctor's performance in those final 20 minutes of The Giggle? And also as well, are you looking forward to watching Doctor Who going forward as well? What did you think of By Generation? Literally, feel free to leave me a comment in the comment section down below, giving me your thoughts on those episodes and those specials. I will be back for you on Friday this week when I'll be doing my movie wrap up. It's going to be a lot of Christmas movies that I talk about in the next episode of my movie wrap up, and I'll also be talking about Disney's Wish as well. So I hope you guys do join me for that on Friday, but until then though, it's goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys again in my next YouTube video.